All right, class. So this is a quick overview of Excel Lab number 4, comparing annual returns. And you can find this in your week 10 assignment for the Excel Lab 4. Pay attention to the detail and why I'm doing this in a manner in which I am, because they give you some insight right here. Pay attention to the insight given to you right here. You'll notice that the first thing you're going to do is obviously download the Excel lab. So I actually have it right here. I already ran it. And so this is the information you are going to download. What I ran using Data Analysis Toolpack was a t-test to sample assuming unequal variances as instructed in the directions. This is the information that I obtained. So we have 20 observations in each of the groups. You can clearly see that it looks like the averages are stated, the variance is stated, the number of observations is stated, all because these are the elements you would need to plug into the formula if you were doing this by hand. If you notice the degrees of freedom, in this case 27, you also have a p statistic, the p-value. You have the critical t, the actual t-value. So if you remember, I said to you, if the OV, which is this one, the observed value, is greater than the critical value, so in that case we reject the null. You also look at your p statistic. If the p-value is less than the alpha value, and our alpha value is actually 0.05 because we're running this at 95% confidence. So let me throw it into the data analysis toolpack. And where you're going is you're going to t-test for 2 sample assuming unequal variances. Click on that. And if you notice, what I did was I inputted the health data in variable 1. I treated the information technology in variable 2. Notice my alpha is 0.05, and I did include labels, so I did check off labels. The hypothesized mean in these tests is always 0 because you're comparing 2 data sets. We're just trying to determine if they're different. And so I went ahead and put the output range here. I just clicked on cell E5, and then which started here, and then I hit OK. And that's how I obtained this part of the information right here. I went further because, you know me, I expect you guys to be able to look at this information top to bottom and be really critical. I also looked at descriptive statistics, and that's how I obtained this. You'd have to do one at a time to get your data. I also think that what would be important here would be to look at the box and whisker plots, because that would tell us the range. I would also compare the confidence intervals. Okay, so if in comparing the confidence intervals and also looking at the standard deviation, which you could tell here, this one is 10, this one is 22, almost 23, you could tell the shift. They both have a negative kurtosis. In terms of skew, again, if you run the, let me see, if we go ahead and go to insert, let's just do 2 box and whisker plots. And so this is kind of cool. If you look at the data for the different charts, let me go back. So I'm going to highlight health. I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to go to histogram and then box and whisker. So if you look at this one is a normal distribution. I don't see any outliers. It looks pretty centered, pretty steady. Do the same thing for the other one, information technology. Again, if you do a simple box and whisker plot, it'll give you enough of an idea. See how this one has a slight tendency Well, this one looks even more normal because this one has less of a right skew. And so you want to discuss this. You want to discuss the percentages. Remember, each of these areas is 25%. You want to discuss what you found here. When you think about the numbers, what do they mean to you? You know, what speaks to you in terms of what you see in the performance. So if you look at this one though, the peak looks like 45 over here, and over here the cutoff looks like 29. So this one looks like a higher performing, and this is information technology, which the other thing I would like to see is if you could use the charts and the graphs to validate your position. So take a look here, and I don't see any outliers, so I don't think we need to worry about that. I think this is pretty straightforward. By now you guys are professionals. Noticing some of those tests coming back with A's. I think you guys are in good shape. Look at the range also. Keep in mind the range is going to tell you, in this case, if you look at the IQR, which is important, the difference in the quartiles, take a look at the difference there. That's a pretty nice set or grouping of that contains a 50% of your information. Same thing here. So if I were you, I would be leaning towards information technology as a possible investment. I would also, like I said, take a look at the confidence level. Remember, it's mean, plus, and minus the margin of error, which you have right here. You do that for both, compare them, and then make a determination. Remember, compare them on the same number line. So when you look at them in terms of the same number line. You could, if you wanted to, do a scatter plot. I don't know if that would be helpful. Let's take a look just for funsies. Because this will give you kind of an idea of what it looks like. Maybe a line plot. Why don't we do a line plot? Grab both. When we just do a line plot, we just need to make sure that we remember which one is which. And so you could look at how erratic these are. These are pretty crazy. So take a look at that. This would be helpful. You could tell one is less erratic than the other and sort of, go with that. So this is the orange is information technology, and you could tell because I'm on 48.1, which is about the fourth point, and there's 48.1, right? And so if I'm looking at this, I can tell that this one is much more erratic. Remember the control charts? Maybe do a control chart. That might be helpful as well. You definitely will want to have some sort of labeling system so that we can reference the fact that the orange relates to the information technology. Discuss this in your report in detail. A lot of people still are not listening. Use these charts within your report to explain the IQR and compare the two. Okay, don't give me back-to-back diagrams. That's not helpful at all. Explain this. Take someone who is younger than you, like a child, or someone who perhaps has not had statistics in their background, and try to get them to understand what the data means. That's how you write a really good report. As difficult as it may sound, it's actually not that bad. It's just being obvious. State the obvious. So with that said, this is it. That's all you need to do for this report. Remember to please be thorough.